welcome to Mind and Body Balance. My name's Carrie. It's lovely to have you here today for part 2, which is emotions, of thoughts, emotions and sensations. So last time we did part 1 on thoughts, today we're doing emotions, and next time will be sensations. So do check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. It'll all make sense come part 3, how they all interlink. Okay, so that's why it's a series. So let's get started on emotions then. So what is emotion? What does it mean? So emotion means to move through. What's moving through? Our energy. Energy moves through and it creates this emotion. It's important to just pause there actually and notice that it moves through. So whether it's a pleasant emotion or a difficult emotion, it's going to move through, it's going to pass, it's going to change. If we think of that phrase, this too shall pass, it's going to move through. So that's really good to have in mind when we're in the difficult especially, isn't it? So that we know that it is going to pass, this emotion. So it's worth thinking about, you know, emotions and feelings, because there are some differences. They often get interlinked. But emotions is in the body, it's in the physical element, it's automatic, it's quick, and it's usually the first reaction to a stressor. And then feelings are more mental, they're more cognitive awareness is there, so therefore it's longer lasting, and it occurs when emotion is assigned a meaning. So the emotion tends to come first, then with our cognitive awareness, we dependent on our experiences, our beliefs, our memory, our thoughts, this is how they all interlink. Depending on all that stuff, we create a feeling. So two people could have the same emotional response to something, but the feelings that come out of that might be different. Okay, so it's also worthwhile noticing how they interlink as well. So normally the anger comes first, we're saying, but it can be the other way around as well. So if we think of anger as an emotion, and then once that emotion's been quick, and it's usually quick to start and it tends to be quick to go, then we're left with the cognitive about that. So we've had this anger, something's happened, this event, we've had this anger to it, and then our cognitive awareness comes in and tries to put into perspective of what's just happened, and it will might relate to things like being frustrated, being irritated, and there's some feelings that might come from anger. But likewise, we could do it the other way, couldn't we? If there's enough frustration and irritation, and it's prolonged, it can give us that emotional state of anger, and that's where mindfulness can help, because it's these feelings that are controlled cognitively. So we can control. When we're aware of our feelings, we can pause and respond so that it doesn't build into that anger. So why is it then that emotions are something that we don't really pay attention to? We kind of push them away. It can be a lot of things really. Society, our culture, upbringing, gender could be an issue. I mean, this is stereotyping, but you think of gender and upbringing of a male boy, and he's crying, it's often, you know, pushed aside. Stop crying, big boys don't cry. So all these things can contribute, the external, but also the internal things as well. The body's the body's natural response to any difficulty, any danger, is to move away from it. It has that fight, flight, freeze response. So like we said in the previous video in thoughts, the body doesn't know the difference between a physical danger and an emotional one, because the hormones are released regardless. So that puts us in a alarmed state. So that's how the body pushes against it. Then there's all these other things, society and everything as well, that pushes against it. So we don't tend to go towards our emotions. We don't really give them much credit. But actually they're there as a bit of a warning for us. And it's worthwhile paying attention to them. We mentioned about this frustration. If we have this build-up of frustration, build-up of stress for a long time, it can impact on us greatly. We know that in this day and age now. So mindfulness can help by going towards the emotion, going towards the feelings, recognising what's there. Especially the difficult, we do that with kindness and compassion, obviously, because we know there's something there that's going to be difficult for us. And we do this because what we resist persists. So if we have a difficult emotion, say for example grief, and it's always there, we're always going to keep bashing it away as we're getting on with, or trying to get on with, our daily life. But it's always going to be there. And that's not a freeing way to live, is it? So what we need to do is give it our attention, give it the acknowledgement that it needs. And what tends to happen then is it changes. We notice the fluidity. It changes, it moves, it diminishes, it goes away. That's not the intention. The intention is to just be with it. But what happens, happens. But when we're in a mindful state and we're paying attention to what's going on, we can acknowledge that it's changing. And it's actually not as bad as we thought it might be when we initially went towards and sat with it. So that brings us then to what do we do? How do we pay attention? So if let's put this in an example of when we're in a meditation. So you're either feeling one at the time or you're recalling one from your day, and you're sat in a meditation, and let's say take an unpleasant one, an unpleasant emotion, and we sit with it and we allow it to be there. This is how it links again. So if you're recalling a situation, you'll bring your thoughts in, and then the emotion will come, and you allow it to be there. You sit with it, allow it to be there. You give it kindness. You might want to put your hand on your heart just to embrace that kindness to it. And that's where the magic happens, when you notice what's there, when you allow it to be there. Does it change? Is it fluid? Is it as bad as you thought? Give it a bit of time and attention and just see what happens. So that's great in a time of meditation, but again, how do we do this in our daily life? With the example of anger, it's a little bit difficult because anger can be quick to arise. But what we can do is see what feelings are coming out of that and work with them and allow them to be there. Likewise, if all that frustration and irritation is building up, it's at that point we can pause, use that magic pause, and just see how it feels. Notice our breath, notice what's happening in the body. These are the things we'll look at in the next video. And then, again, allowing them to be there and then respond. By having that little break, that pause in that moment of that build-up of frustration, we pause, we respond differently as opposed to reacting in that anger. If we let that build up, it might result in anger. So it's worthwhile thinking this isn't all just about the negative. It's not all about the unpleasant. Mindfulness is about bringing joy and life and fulfillment and contentment and everything into our lives. So when we're having a pleasant experience, it's a good idea to be with that too. And the reason being is we need to spend a little bit more time on the pleasant things. We need to acknowledge them a lot more and spend time allowing them to be there a lot more because of the negativity bias. Back to the survival. So our survival, the way we are, it always acknowledges the negative because it's fearful, it wants to get us out of that situation. Whereas the pleasant, well, that's not gonna, we don't need to remember that because that's not gonna, it's not a danger to us, the pleasant. So for example, you know, you're hugging your child, just spend a little bit longer, feel what it feels like, and enjoy that. And then at the end of the day, you can look back and think, oh yeah, I had a really nice time with my child today. Or I went out in nature and saw some lovely flowers. Or smelt something that would give me a nice memory or something, you know, just whatever is pleasant in your day, really absorb that too. So it's not just being acknowledging the unpleasant, but it's also the pleasant as well, and how that makes you feel. So back to the emotion, how does that make you feel in your body, so what's the emotion, what's the feeling behind that? If you struggle with getting into your body, with embodiment, and really sensing into emotions and feelings, because I know I did when I started this, this is what's going to be covered partly in the next video, so when we're looking at sensations. So do check out that, and that video will connect all these three, so the thoughts, emotions and sensations, and how they all fit, and why these are the three things that are what we look at when we're being mindful in our daily life. So that's about it really. What is an emotion and a feeling, why we need to acknowledge them, and how mindfulness can help us do that. So I hope you have a go, practice this, give us some comments, and if you like the videos, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Much love.